One of the most frustrating things with doing football predictions on YouTube is those comments you can sometimes get on your videos where someone might say, "Oh, because you backed my team to lose, you must hate us." Well, is it true? Today we're going to have a look at some data and see if we can work out which championship teams this season myself and Sophie have loved and hated. I have taken the time to go through each and every one of our championship predictions videos this season and work out what the championship table would look like if each and every one of our predictions come true. And at the end of adding it all up together, we've got my table, what the championship table would look like if all of my individual predictions had come true, and Sophie's table. And we're going to look at the disparity between that and the real table to see which championship teams this season we loved and hated. Guys, before we get into some of the numbers, once again, I must always emphasize, please try and not take this personally. There isn't really any clubs we have a vendetta against, but there are some clubs which we might have an unconscious bias about that we didn't realize that we might find out looking at this video today. Feel free to share your comments down below. Make sure to drop a like. We'll go for 699 likes on this one. It's free to do, and it's also free to subscribe. So get down there and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, as we're now on the march to 70,000 subscribers. With all of that said, let's have a look at some of the numbers. So then, the first thing you can see here is the actual table. This is what the championship table finished like at the end of the season. Now then, let's have a little look at what the championship table would have looked like if every single one of my weekly predictions had come true this season. And oh my gosh, there's a few stinkers in there. Leeds United, 126 points. Rotherham, 16 points. Oh my goodness me. Now, because we didn't keep track of our predictions every week, it's not like we were remembering who we'd backed each week. You can sometimes let yourself forget how many times you've backed a certain team or how many times you've not backed a certain team. Now, this table next to me certainly shows you which teams I've backed the most and which teams I've backed the least this season. But we're going to compare it in terms of points to the actual table in a minute and see what the disparity is. Because, of course, it's natural to back Leeds United, Leicester City and Ipswich Town a lot of the time if they are teams at the top of the table. It's the disparity we're interested in. That's where we can really see which teams we love or hate. Just before we do that, let's have a look at Sophie's table as well. And quite interesting, although she's got some crazy points tallies at the top here, Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds and Southampton in that exact order. You've also got Coventry in 5th place. Sheffield Wednesday are down in the bottom 3. I had Stoke in my bottom 3 with all our predictions put together, which is quite interesting. Do feel free to share your thoughts on those tables down in the comments, guys. Like I said, it's not like we deliberately predicted X amount of teams to get over 100 points, but it just happened because we haven't kept track of our weekly predictions through the season. The thing we're going to look at then to see which team we love and hate the most this season is the disparity then, and how we are going to measure that is we're going to compare how many points each team got compared to how many points they would have got with our predictions. And let's start with mine then. So the team I hate the most apparently is Stoke City. Oh, Stoke fans, I'm so sorry. Oh God, look at that. They got 56 points this season and I backed them to get a stinky 32 points, which is a difference of 24 points. Oh, and then you can also see Cardiff and Swansea down there. Honestly, I've got nothing against the Welsh, but I don't know how I've done this. I mean, maybe I just thought Cardiff would drop off because I think my expectations this season was that they wouldn't have a great season. So honestly, what I will say is credit to these teams. And Norwich as well. Oh my God, I've not been very fair on Norwich. Bristol City and Millwall as well. I've not been too kind to them. Let's try and move up the table here because I can't look at that for any longer. Honestly, Stoke, Cardiff and Swansea fans, I am sorry. I'm really sorry. As we move up the table, Rotherham, I was 11 points off. Blackburn, 10 points off. QPR, 6 points off. We're getting closer here. Preston, Watford and Middlesbrough, fairly happy with those points tallies because that's not far off what they got come the end of the season. So feeling a little bit more comfortable talking about the teams that I've got in the mid-table region of this. Now let's have a little look at the teams at the upper end. Which teams have I backed more than I should have? So you've got Southampton, who, once again, that's fine. Plymouth, that's the closest I got with this season. I backed them to get 52 points. They got 51. And then you got Huddersfield, who I was maybe too generous to. West Bromwich Albion, I was also a bit too kind to them. Coventry next, I gave us 8 more points than we actually did get, so there is a bit of bias there. But do you know what? At least Coventry aren't top of the list. That way I can't be accused of being totally biased. And Birmingham, I'm very generous to Birmingham by the looks of it. 59 points. They'd have stayed up comfortably if they'd have got that. Of course, they only got 50 points. Let's have a look at the top 6 next then. And these are the teams I have loved this season. Oh, no surprise to see Leeds United at the top. So Sheffield Wednesday, yes, I've been nice to them this season. Maybe a little bit too nice because I forecast them to get 63 points. Sunderland, 69 points. Leicester 111, Ipswich 110, so both Leicester and Ipswich I gave an extra 14 points to. Hull City, when did I love Hull City? 23 points more than they actually got this season. 93 points! Oh my gosh, well there you go. Apparently I love Hull City. And then look at that, Leeds United, oh my god. They got 90 points this season. I would have had them to get 126 points. I believe that must mean I've backed them like 41 or 42 times out of 46. Oh God, there's definitely a bit of bias there towards Leeds United. Oh, the Leeds fans must think I've probably cursed them this season because I predicted them to win the league and I've backed them the most in the weekly predictions this season. Oh God. Wow, that's incredible. So what we can take away from this with the disparities is that I love Leeds United apparently, and I hate Stoke City. Stoke City fans, please don't get mad at me. What I'll try and do is make it up to you next season. I'll see if I can back you a bit more next season. Oh God. But like I say, it is interesting to look at these numbers because it's not that I deliberately want to back teams more than I should or deliberately back teams less than I should. It's possibly just an unconscious bias in some way, shape or form. Let's have a look at Sophie's next. And Sophie hates Swansea City. Look at that. 33 points for Swansea. Goodness me. And Sheffield Wednesday. While I was very nice to Sheffield Wednesday this season, Sophie was not. 32 points she backed them to get. Bloody hell. Minus 21 off what they went on to get. Sophie also has Stoke City in her bottom 3, but she was a little bit nicer to the Potters. Oh God. Do you know what? I feel like I remember through the season quite a few Stoke fans commenting saying, you never back us to win. And maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. Maybe I need to listen. Bristol City, minus 17 off. Huddersfield, she's minus 15 off there. Rotherham, 14 points. Rotherham to get 14 points. She must have only backed them to win like 2 or 3 times this season. Okay, moving up Sophie's love-hate table. We've got QPR and Millwall, the London clubs. Maybe she's not too keen on them. Plymouth and Cardiff. Cardiff minus 1, that's pretty close there. Norwich plus 1. So Cardiff and Norwich are the teams she's probably backed the right amount of times this season. Preston plus 3, which is interesting. Sophie's backed Preston a little bit more than she should have done this season. And let's move into the top half next then and see what we've got. Watford and Sunderland, she's backed them to get 4 more points than they did get. Southampton an extra 6 points. Blackburn, she was quite hot on Blackburn. And the same with Hull City and West Brom. She's backed them both to get an extra 8 points this season. Let's have a look at Sophie's top 6 then. Which team does she love the most? Oh, Coventry. What a surprise there. So predictable. At least I tried to hide my bias a little bit by not having Coventry right at the top. So Birmingham are in Sophie's top 6 clubs for this season that she's backed more than she should have. Ipswich, that's understandable. I think it is slightly easier to get carried away with teams that are at the top. So maybe that is what comes up on the table here because she's also got Middlesbrough, and then Leeds and Leicester. I wouldn't have had Sophie down as someone who loves Leicester City, but as I say, take these numbers with a slight pinch of salt. And then Coventry City, 87 points she backed us to get this season. Bloody hell. In real life, that would have had us like just outside of the top 3. Wow, that's incredible there. So yes, maybe my predictions showed I've got a little bit of bias towards Coventry, but Sophie's has shown she's got a lot of bias towards Coventry, and the team she apparently hates the most is Swansea City. Feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments, guys. So then, guys, that wraps up today's video. It's just a bit of fun looking at some of the numbers from our weekly championship predictions this season, and I love looking at stats and data, so you can excuse me being a little bit of a nerd here. But when it comes to the emotional side of things, like I said, we get people in the comments that say, oh, you hate my team because you don't back us, or you love my team because you back us a lot. Is there any truth in that? Feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments. If that is the case, then Sophie really loves Coventry and hates Swansea, and I have a bias towards Leeds United and hate Stoke City. But I must emphasise, if you are a Stoke City fan or a Swansea fan watching this video today, it is all just a bit of fun. And if you genuinely feel like we should have been nicer to you, maybe we'll try and make it up to you next season. If you've enjoyed this video, do let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure to drop a like as well. It's free to do that. It's free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.